Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Rainer, this is Stockholm, Sweden Calling, and today I want to give you my reaction to the booker list and my plans about the booker list, what I'm going to do with it on my channel and with my reading. So let's go! Three hours ago, Swedish time, 4 o'clock, the booker list was published on the website of the Booker Prize. It was published on social media, and many of you have already made videos about the list. Some have had the honor, the pleasure already to present all the books because they were sent to them in a package with the order to not reveal them before 3 o'clock British Standard Time. Here is the list of the Booker 2022. Nominated are Glory by NoViolet Bulawajo, Trust by Hernan Diaz, The Trees by Percival Everett, Booth by Karen Joy Fowler, Treacle Walker by Garner, The Seven Moons of Maali Almeida by Shehan Karunatilaka, Small Things Like These by Keegan, Case Study by Graeme, Macrae, Burnet, The Colony by Audrey and Magee, Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer, Nightcrawling by Leila Mottley, After Sappho by Selby, Wynn, Schwartz, and O. William by Elizabeth Strout. That makes a list of 13 books, and several records were broken this year. Several new records were set by this Booker jury, by this Booker list. The oldest and the youngest author ever to be nominated was broken with these lists, because the author of Nightcrawling, an American novel, debut novel by Leila Mottley, the only of the 13 books that I own, haven't read it yet, is 20 years old and the youngest author ever to have been nominated for the Booker list. And the oldest author ever to have been nominated is Garner, a British author who was 87, now 88 years old when he wrote and published Treacle Walker. We also have the shortest book that was ever nominated for the Booker Prize, and that is Claire Keegan's book Small Things Like These. So 3 records were set. We have, again, I think we should do some statistics the other day. Again, a huge bunch of American authors. 6 of the 13 authors are from the United States. There are 2 authors from Ireland. There are 3 authors from Britain, and then we're already up at 11. And then we have 1 author from Sri Lanka, that is Shehan Karunatilaka, and 1 author from Zimbabwe, which is NoViolet Bulawajo. And that's about it. We have no author from Australia, no author from New Zealand, no author from Canada, and that is a pity, that is a weakness, I think, because Canada, Australia, and New Zealand are part of the English-speaking world. I also miss more African literature here. We have 1 author from Zimbabwe, but there were so many beautiful books. I had some of on my list, for example, from Nigeria and from other countries on the African continent, from South Africa, that were really worth looking at. So 6 times America and 3 times UK makes it up to 9 out of 13, which is summa summarum, oh my gosh, my mathematics is not so good, but it makes about 70%, I would guess, 75% of the books are either from the UK or from the USA. And when you have 6 American novels, you are almost competing with the National Book Award also, in a way, because this is sort of the World Championship in English-speaking literature, right? And there should be a greater variety. That is my critique when I look at this list for the very first time. And now, again, I love the Booker Prize, I love awards, but I'm not going to read all of these 13 books because they simply do not interest me. All of them are not interesting to me. I'm very grateful and very thankful for the books that pique my interest, that get my interest, that I want to read. I'm going to put Nightcrawling on the top of my TBR to give you as soon as possible the first review of a book that's on the booker list. And I have chosen some other books that I want to read. I have already ordered them from the library if they are available at the Stockholm City Library, and some of them are. I've already ordered one book at the bookshop to get it as in like 2 or 3 weeks. That's the time it takes here in Sweden. And that is The Trees by Percival Everett. And it's also the first book that I want to talk about because this interests me. It's a novel, American novel, about several murders, a lot of murders actually happening in the United States, where people get lynched and where other people get murdered at the same time when somebody is lynched. And this not happens first in Missouri, in a little town in Missouri, but then across the United States. And they're hanged in the trees. And that's why the novel is called The Trees. It's a novel about police violence, about police brutality, and about racism in the United States. And that is interesting to me. It's described as a page-turner. So I'm looking forward to read Percival Everett's The Trees and Leila Mottley's Nightcrawling. Nightcrawling, to say a few words about this book. She is 20 years old, the author. She was the young laureate. You know, they have in America this award, this function as Youth Poet Laureate for cities and for states. Leila Mottley was the 2018 Oakland Youth Poet Laureate. Her novel is, she was born and raised in Oakland, which is on the other side of the Bay of San Francisco, city that I haven't visited. I saw it from the bus when I was traveling north to Portland. I hope to see it sometime soon. It's more than just a magnificent debut novel. It's a bid by this prodigiously gifted young writer to heal a broken world. It's a novel about a woman who has to walk the streets of Oakland for some reason because she cannot put bread on the table, she cannot pay the rent. And she sees something, if I get it right here, she sees something and she is supposed to become a part, to witness in a grand jury, and this turns her life and the lives of other people upside down. And this is Nightcrawling by Leila Mottley, which is on my list, like the Everett book, Percy Everett's book, The Trees. Also on my list of these 13 books, I put Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, which is a novel, an Irish novel about a man. In the 80s we have a man who is delivering stuff, I think oil, to households in Dublin, and on his way he is reflecting things about life, and he's also realizing that he's a part of a country where the church plays a very dominant role. I don't know if it's the real Ireland Claire Keegan is describing here, or if it's sort of a different version of Ireland, but nevertheless, that seemed interesting to me as well. So that's the third book that I want to read. The fourth one would be Case Study by Graeme Macrae Burnet. This is a British book about a woman who has a death in her family, and she is suspecting that a very famous psychotherapist has something to do with the death of her loved one. So she goes undercover as a patient to this psychotherapist, and she gets involved in a very difficult and intriguing story. That is Case Study by Graeme Macrae Burnet. I have also ordered The Colony by Audrey and Magee because it was recommended by some of my subscribers on the channel. It was also nominated for the Longlist now, apparently. This is also Irish, I think, about two men visiting an island. One of them is a painter, and the other one is someone who wants to preserve the language of the people living on that very, very small island. And it's about the impact they have on the island and the impact the island has on them. So that sounded interesting to me. Nightcrawling I already mentioned. And the last one I am really trying and attempting to read is O William by Elizabeth Strout. I think I had it on my extended long list that I was having when I sort of tried to predict the long list of the Booker. I had a William on my I thought it might take what I called to myself the Ann Tyler spot. And it took the Ann Tyler spot because there is apparently an Ann Tyler spot on the Booker list, which is a novel by probably an American author, a female author in this case, who is writing not very experimental, but who is a very good narrator. And Tyler had this 2 years ago with a novel that I read. It was Red House by the Side of the Road, which I read 2 years ago, which was really, really amazing. And this time I thought she could make it, but then I put her away. But she made it, actually. Elizabeth Strout with her sequel, with her novel O. William, which is about the same character that she already had. My Name is Lucy Barton in 2016. Lucy Barton, again, in this novel, O. William, her ex-husband returns into her life. And it is described as a very beautiful narrative, very beautiful story with a lot of insights on life in general and about the human condition. And that sounded really nice to me, and I'm also going to try to read that. Which books are you reading from the long list of the Booker? Are you going to read them all? Are you going to order them all if you haven't got them from the Booker Foundation into your mailbox? Are you going to try to read them all despite the fact that they may not spike your interest in all of the cases? Or are you picking some of them? I mean, we have a couple of weeks to go, and then we already get the long list of the National Book Award. Let me check when it is. Okay, we have some time to let the Booker dominate, because the long list of the National Book Award will not come before September 14 to 16. I think probably September 16, which actually is my birthday. Then the long list of the National Book Award will be announced. So we have until then to read as much Booker as we want to, as we can do. But I want to read other stuff as well. I'm also reading from my own prediction list. I started reading Daniel Spiotta's novel Wayward, which I'm really, really like after having read not more than 10 pages. Let's talk about the Booker. Please leave me in the comments down below what you think of the long list. Are you disappointed or are you not disappointed? As I said, I'm always disappointed. They can never do it right for me. I think more diversity would have been great. Too much American, too much British in general. So 9 out of 13, that's not good. And I would like to have more Africa here. I would like to have more, even Asian authors who write in English. And not forgetting Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand authors. My next video might be about Canada, because the Giller Prize has published an amazing list of 100 Canadian books that have been published over the course of the last year, and I'm going to pick 10 Canadian books out of this, I think, to sort of have a little prediction for the Scotiabank Giller Prize long list that's also coming in September. But now let's get finished, because at 8 o'clock we're going to do a lot of talk before the semifinals of the Women's Soccer Championships in Europe between England and Sweden tonight. So I have to watch that game. I'm doing a podcast tomorrow about this in German. And I see you soon on this channel. And thank you very much today for visiting, for subscribing, and for watching. I see you soon. Happy reading. Bye-bye.